Beautiful, Ernie. Thank you so much. We're so blessed to have those bowls. So welcome, Red Deer Center for Spiritual Living. It is the 22nd of August already. And I would like to talk about Reverend Judy is having a mastermind clinic, a summer mastermind clinic, August the 25th that will be on. And you bring yourself a notepad. Oh, Reverend Judy wants to talk.
Our last mastermind clinic of the summer will be this Wednesday, but since I'll be in Edmonton visiting the Can of Serve clinic, Lou Clark will be your host for that session. Thank you, Lou.
Thanks for the update, Reverend Judy. So please come if you're interested. Now for our children, the Growing Spirit Circle, trustworthiness is the word. When you are worthy of trust, you stop and think before making a promise to be sure that you really can actually do it. Start doing what you agreed to do. When you are trustworthy, you keep your word. You keep going no matter how hard it is, because it is very important to you to be worthy of the trust of others. And the affirmation is, others can count on me to keep my promises. So repeat with me, others can count on me to keep my promises. And now I get to introduce Reverend Doug Craig. I met him in 1988 when he started teaching in Red Deer. And little did I know that Reverend Doug and his hit you like a 2x4 discussions would eventually end up that I am a reverend myself. So I want you to meet Reverend Douglas Craig, and please listen, because he may every once in a while throw that hit you like a 2x4 statement. Reverend Doug, thank you so much.
How's that, Russ? Oh, I guess that's okay. You might want to turn me down just a titch here so I don't get whipped into a lather in a frenzy. Good morning! How's everybody this wonderful morning? It is a good day, and it's a good theme for the month that we've got. It's called A Pause for Guidance. And we're going to be talking today about your GPS. No, not your global positioning system, your guidance positioning system, or your God positioning system. Slightly different, works kind of the same way, only the God positioning system is a lot more accurate and a lot better. It doesn't take you onto some wild rides. But let's begin with an opening meditation, and let's just get ourselves into a comfortable position, and let's just go within and take time to be here in the present moment, for the point of power is always in the present moment. This morning does not exist, this afternoon does not exist. Always remember that tomorrow and yesterday never exist, because the only thing that exists is now. That is it. So in this moment, right here and right now, we come together in the calm, peace, stillness, and quiet, and we acknowledge that there is only one universal presence and power, and that is God. And that power is in each and every one of us and expresses through us in our own unique and special way, allowing us to demonstrate all that we can be in this journey called life. So let's just go within and be quiet, and in the stillness know that there is a God positioning system within us to guide us, lead us, and direct us to peace, prosperity, fulfillment, and happiness. So let us in the silence commune with His presence. And it is this spiritual power and this spiritual presence that is with us each and every day and every step of the way. So with an open and receptive mind, we go forward into today's session knowing that something valuable and precious will be given to us because of this shared and collective experience that we are participating in. So with anticipation and excitement and the calm knowingness that all is good and all is God, we move forward knowing that that which we desire today will be given to us, and we give thanks and we know it to be so, and so it is. A lady by the name of Vidya Hatangadi, a doctor from India, wrote, "Human beings have 5 senses: sights, eyes, hearing, ears, taste, tongue, smell, nose, and touch sensatory. Spirituality is the ability to recognize that there is intelligence beyond our 5 senses. There is a universal power that creates and governs everything within and beyond the worlds we know, and the power that is omnipresent. We can surrender to this supreme intelligence through our awareness. We call this universal power by many different names as per our religious faith. Spirituality makes things easier for us to go through life's journey with all of its ups and downs. It makes our lives happier." And so, we all have this guidance and this system within us to give us what it is that we need to know or what we need to do in any circumstance or situation. And it's always working for us, and it's always giving us messages, but we don't listen. Anybody found that they don't listen? Yeah. And if you don't listen, then there's a price to pay. Anybody said, "I should have listened to what I was being told, but I didn't, and I wish I would have"? Okay? And when I first started on this journey, the "I wish I would have listened" was a very common theme in my life. And, after a while of getting beat up enough with circumstances and situations, I became much more prudent and much more willing to listen to that inner spiritual guidance. And thus, that is how I've managed to work my way through life. And you know, one of the neat places that really happens for me, and I get to really get the benefit and practice, is when I'm out in the mountains in the wilderness. Because, you know, I don't see as well as I used to. And because of certain things in my youth, I don't have a very good sense of smell or taste, and I don't hear as good. But you know, when I go into the mountains, I do a little treatment work. I always say, I dwell in the bright Christ light, and only goodness is attracted to me. Thank you, Brother Bear, Brother Wolf, and Brother Eagle, for sharing your home with me today. And I go in as though I'm going into someone's home. And I allow myself to become fully aware and fully present with what's going on. And I go with people, different people that got better everything that I do, but yet I hear people down the trail 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes before anybody else does. Or I sense something that's there before anybody else does. I recall one time that I had told Anna that if I ever say anything in the bush, just do it and we'll talk about it later. Don't even question it. And we're sitting out, had a picnic table, having a picnic, and there's a couple there with a dog, and all of a sudden I go, to the car. And then I go over to the other people, I say, hey, something's happening here, you better get to the car. And then the dog started acting up. So I knew before the dog did that there was something happening, okay? And we got out of there, and a mother grizz and 2 cubs come right through there, just seconds after we got it cleared out. And so I give thanks that I got that. I never take it for granted. I never get cocky about it. I'm just grateful and always aware of what's going on. And I developed that in my years in the wilderness and my years of survival in the alternative lifestyle I had that kept me there. So there's something within us that's for us and not against us. There's some kind of presence in us that will guide us and give us whatever it is that we need to know. And so the first thing I want to talk about is our guidance positioning system, or our God positioning system. Ernest Holmes, in a sermon by the sea, said, we have discovered that which the great, the good, and the wise have sung about and thought about, the imprisoned splendor within ourselves and within each other, and we have direct contact with it. And that's the important thing. Now, I'm going to talk a little later on about how that contact works and learning how to read the communication from the Spirit, because a lot of us just miss it because we don't understand how it works. And you know, the differentiation between this and a global positioning system, in the G.P.S, I remember I was down in Montana once and I wanted to get the best route, and this is in winter, to go down to the next leg of the journey. And it gave me this position, which was really the best way to go, most scenic and everything, except it had about 6 feet of snow on the highway. You see, your GPS in your car doesn't tell you about roadblocks, detours, wildfires. Not down in Montana in wildfires, or in BC in wildfires, and you get turned around or you get stuck there, but your GPS doesn't tell you that. And then I remember going through San Antonio one time, following it to get to the Alamo, and it took me through all these residential areas. Nice trip, quiet, but holy, took twice as long to get there as it would have had I gone direct. So that is a different kind of system, but we really know how it works. It helps people. Google Maps, anybody use that kind of stuff? Oh yeah, it helps. But it doesn't give you the detail. That's the difference between the GPS there and the one we're talking about. The one we're talking about gives you exactly what it is that you need to do when you need to do it. All you got to do is set your destination and quit changing your mind all the time. Can you imagine trying to go from here to BC with somebody that changed their mind how they wanted to go every 50 or 100 clicks? Well, they would be out of the vehicle very shortly, wouldn't they? Right? Okay? So, we got to learn to work with this system. So, one of the things that was said is every now and again we got to recalculate the route. We get into a situation and in life, and we got to kind of recalculate to work our way around it, or maybe we got to take a detour, or maybe we just were on a detour and got to get back on the main road. And so that's there to guide us. So one of the key things here in this point is how to make this work better for us in our day-to-day life. Now, not only will this work better, but everything will work better because this is working better. And how do we do that? The prime thing that we can work on as an individual on a day-to-day basis is to eliminate toxicity in our life. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, eliminate the toxicity in our thinking. Get rid of your stinking thinking. And how do you do that? Give yourself a checkup from the neck up, eh? And you all know what I mean. We all do it. I don't know why we do it when we know we shouldn't, but we do, right? Everybody does it. So we got to eliminate that instead of entertaining it. We don't need to rent space in our head for any kind of toxicity. Keep in mind, that's what we're doing. We're renting space in our head for it. Because it's not what we want, but it's there. But this goes further than just that, just your thinking. It means eliminating toxicity from habits. Oh, food. Anybody do food toxicity here lately? How about this morning? Oh, yeah. And beverages, toxicity in beverages. Some people can partake in beverages. I like to have a glass of beer when I go out, not from a bottle, from the tap. That's all I have, and I don't have any around the house or anything like that. Because if I start participating in alcohol on a regular basis, especially the hard stuff, then toxicity becomes very prevalent in my experience. It's called blackout, and I just can't be responsible for myself. I know what it does to me. It's extremely toxic. And I become toxic. Okay? And how about toxic jobs? Oh, I'm afraid I need the job. Oh, if you need it that bad, that's bad. What if I get fired? Well, who cares? They're doing you a favor. Got lots of good stories about that. Okay? But the big one is this one. And this is the tough one. It's called eliminating toxic people from your life. That's the hard one because that means any friends, acquaintances, family. Well, family is the tough one because I don't know about you, but I was the kind of person that was the toxic one that everybody wanted to eliminate. And sometimes when you become that kind of person, it takes a long time to work your way back into the family. For me, it was many years for one side of the family that I had to go through, and they seen what I was doing. And 39 years later, I finally got invited to a function and was kind of like a major healing. And rightly so, I got eliminated for what I did. We're not going to get into that. Don't want to talk about that. But don't be a toxic person that needs to be eliminated from somebody's life. Get that one first. And then have a look around, and you have to do it. I've had a really hard time because I've had 2 children that are estranged and a couple of really good friends. But I just choose to spend time with people and more time with people that are experiencing joy and health, and I don't have to be concerned about their toxicity. They can do that wherever, whatever. Hard to come to that point, and then we say, well, where is this love, everybody? Well, you can love them, but you don't have to live with them. You have to have healthy boundaries and limits. You don't invite that into your experience. You keep it out here. And I've had all kinds of stories and experiences on that in my journey with friends and family and stuff like that. So it's something that we learn over a period of time. It doesn't happen overnight. Next point, learning to listen to, number one, and following, number two, the guidance from the spiritual presence within. And so how does the Spirit talk to us? Well, we don't get sentences and good structure in an essay form. Never heard anybody get that. So let's talk about the different ways you can get the message. You can get that small, still voice. Anybody ever had the small, still voice, that voice that talked to you and you go, what the heck is that? Yeah. Okay? And if you don't, that's okay. Not everybody gets it that way. You get a combination of them. How about dreams? Anybody get dreams in that? Now, one of the things that's very interesting about dreams is dreams are of a different kind. Some are precognitive of an event that'll happen, postcognitive event that has happened, and some of them are direct messages from Spirit, and they're in symbol forms because it communicates that way. So I've been analyzing dreams and interpreting for people that I do work with for about 35 years now. And I have a system of how I look at it. And so when I work with someone, their dreams will change. They might stop, or people that don't might have one. But they will change because that which is within you or you knows how I look at things. So it will present the dream, if it's got a message for you, in a way that's easy for me to interpret. How accurate am I? 90+%. And how I do it is I give the person my analysis and see how it feels for them. That doesn't mean they're going to go, oh yeah, that was good, that's right on. No, it might be real terrible, the 2x4, I think Tress called it, yeah. Might be that too, but that's Spirit delivering it. And the other thing is unusual thoughts at unusual times. Y'all have it. Let me tell you how it works. You're thinking of somebody's name, and you can't remember it. 2 days later, you're in the shower just minding your own business, and boom, their name's in your head. Anybody ever have that? Well, who hasn't had it happen, huh? Excuse me. So, and when you're looking for an answer for something, it'll come that strange way. Anybody ever have an unusual thought in the unusual time and just brushed it off, never paid attention? I'll bet you everybody has. Start paying attention to those. Those are there to get your attention, to give you direction, guidance, or some kind of a message. Coincidences, encounters or event. Oh, what a coincidence. I was just thinking about you and you ran into the person. Had that happen? Sure. There are no coincidences, you see. There are no coincidences. All of those different things, events or people that happen, all happen for a reason. Anybody ever been in an accident that wasn't their fault? Did you notice that you were in the accident, though? That's the key, right? Yeah. Might not have been the fault out there, but you did show up for the experience. So we got to pay attention to really closely to what's going around us, because that's a message. The whole world is a message. Anytime you have a reaction to anyone or anything, anytime you have a zzz, whether it's a little zzz or a wah, anything in between, and it doesn't matter whether you're dealing with a complete idiot and they're totally out of line and out of place, or if it's Mother Teresa and you have one. Don't matter. If you have a reaction, you've got a problem. It doesn't matter out there. That you got to deal with. We got to deal with it. But if you're getting this, and it doesn't matter what you do with it, because some people just suffer in silence because they're better than that. And other people, they just unload, and they're kind of an ogre for being like that. It doesn't really matter what you do with it. You still got to own it and deal with it. So there's a real interesting system to look at that, and anger and rage. And boy, I had to look at a lot of that. You got to look at people that come into your life all of a sudden, and people that leave your life. And it doesn't matter whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, the coming and going. I remember what Dr. Tom Costa said one time. People bless you by coming, or they bless you by going. And you never know when the door's going to open and the next real special person's going to walk through the door, or when the next person that walks through the door is a real idiot and you don't like him right off the bat. You ever have that happen? Those are the most important people in your life, eh? The ones that you don't like off the bat. The ones that you just get that reaction to. Because they're God's greatest blessing. Because they're being delivered to you to teach you something about yourself that you need to know. I never did like that one. Still don't like it. But that's what they're there for. Okay? Because why don't you just feel that way about everybody? So that's another one there. And keep in mind, we can't get into all of this detail, but also you got to watch for prompts. Sometimes when you're really connected with the Spirit, it will not tell you what to do or anything. It will give you prompts to do on the moment. And, you got to follow them. You got to trust it. You got to have faith that it'll be there and to do that, and then the right result will happen. Okay? Easy to say. A lot more difficult to do. And I want to give you an example. I know a lot of you heard the story before, but it's a really good one. When I was teaching in northeastern China in a medium-sized Chinese city of 14.5 million people, we got treated good by the Chinese people. They were really good to us and had no problem, except 5 days before we're going home after we were there 76 days. And we're walking home in the middle afternoon because me and my buddy were teaching there. And we come to this intersection, all kinds of people around, and whoosh, there we were, surrounded by a gang of 10 ruffians in a circle around us. And I think it was the head honcho or the tough guy that was in the middle with me and my buddy. And he squared off against me, okay? Because I was the bigger of the two guys. So I don't understand Chinese. There was no talking done anyhow. And so I go, okay, plan B, Doug's plan B. I've been in this situation before. I know the first 3 people I'm going to talk with in a serious manner. I'll leave that to your imagination. Then we'll see where it goes from there, if it goes there. But I made that commitment, and I said, okay, God, you're on. And so, you can't have your fear. If you got to park it. You got to believe that you're going to get what you need to get when you need to get it, and you got to follow it. And so there, the first thing was that I got prompted was to get the look on and look in the guy's eye, get the dirty on, I call it, because that's what it was. It was a staring contest. Second thing I did was I got prompted to squat down lower, so I was at direct eye level with this guy. He was a little smaller than I was. And we're doing it, and it's nobody's saying anything. It's him and me. Everything else is going to depend on what happens. And so all of a sudden I start moving close towards him, like this, slowly, closer, and I got that far from him, and then it was, I started doing that, and I went for his nose. I got him on the cheek, bit him. And they all go, whoa! And they all took off running in different directions, all 11. I look at my buddy and said, that turned out better than I thought. Okay? And why I use that story, why it's so important, because if I'd have had the voice say, oh, Doug, you're going to do this, and then you're going to do what I did, I would have never have done that. Who'd do something like that in that situation? Would you do something like that? I wouldn't. That's why I know it had to be God, because there's no way I'd conceive of that kind of idea. I already had my plan in place. But the trust of it and doing that, and they did that, and they all ran. No violence. Can you imagine that? I don't know what they were talking about later, but it must have been interesting. And any time that you've got any other obstructions or resistance, there's a message for you, because sometimes an obstruction or resistance isn't a bad thing. It's there because you need to develop some kind of skill or acquire some kind of knowledge to be able to fulfill whatever it is that you're working on. So don't, you see, we label it good, bad. Get that out of your mind. If you're going somewhere and it's there, it must be part of where you're going, or else it wouldn't be there. If you're going to go climb that mountain and you got out there and there's this big raging river and you had to do a 10-kilometer ford, and you go whine and whimper and snivel, but you know if your objective wasn't to climb that mountain, it wouldn't be an issue. So it's part of the process because it's there on that journey for whatever reason. So we need to remember how Spirit works with us, and we can use those points and develop them and work with them over a period of time. I'm getting to the point now where I really start to understand this, and it's really working in a lot of areas. And if I don't, or I get a little too cocky, then I get my butt kicked. Anybody get their butt kicked when they get a little too cocky? Yeah. Whew. So the last thing I can leave with you, the most important thing here, is to use the three qualities of your mind. There's three ways we can use your mind. Dr. Holmes, in The Science of Mind, said the imagination is creative, the will is directive. Through will, we decide just what we wish to have done. The will holds attention to the mental viewpoint until the creative power has time to work through the law of unfoldment. So that we call the directive quality of mind. That's your analyzing, your problem solving, your goal setting, moving forward with your life. We may wish, on the other hand, to draw some information to ourselves. The will then holds to the idea that we are receiving the desired information. So that's called the receptive quality of our mind. And then he talks about it can become either active, the directive, or receptive, or it may pass into a state of neutral contemplation where its purpose is merely to sense the wonders of the spiritual life. And that's the contemplative method. But in no case does the will become creative. So you've got the directive way. That's how we use it. Analyze, try to figure out position, planning, directing, goal setting. And the other one that's very common that we know is the contemplative. So that's prayer, meditation, getting in the zone. I'm out in the mountains. Guess where I am all the time there? That's a walking, creative, contemplative thing for me. I'm always in that space. Almost always. In fact, when I'm not in that space, then I trip over something to fall down and get hurt. And it reminds me to get back there. But the one that's the most least used that we really got to work on and be aware of is the most powerful of all of them. And that's the receptive quality. That's the ability to draw to us what it is that we need to know. However, we got to do it by asking a question. Now, here's the key. You got to ask the right question. You don't say, "What's wrong with me? Why does this always happen to me? Why me?" That's not a question. The question is, what is it that I need to know about myself to resolve this issue I keep having? What is it I need to know to resolve that? And by the way, always remember there's a very, very serious rule with asking questions. Don't ask the question if you don't want the answer. Right, Tress? Don't, Beth, right? Yeah. Judy, Valentine, all in my class. You don't ask the question unless you want the answer. Because a lot of times we don't like the answer. But it is the answer to the question. Okay? So we got to learn to work with that. So you got those three qualities of mind. So the idea of operating your God positioning system or your guidance positioning system is just to accept that there is that intelligence within us that'll guide us, lead us, and direct us to whatever it is that we need to achieve that peace, prosperity, fulfillment, and happiness that we desire. And it doesn't matter where you go or what system, whether it be AA or any 12-step programs, or whatever you do. One of the major steps is surrender. Anybody ever heard that? Well, I had a problem with that word until I got beat out of me and decided to surrender to the higher self inside. And we got to be willing to do that before any of this can work. We have to accept that there's that within us which knows what it is that we need to do and where we need to go. Henley said, I am the master of my own fate and the captain of my soul, in this poem Invictus, okay? So remember that as you're going forward, because this is a lifelong pursuit, and all of these are going to be as valid 20 years, 30 years, 40 years from now as they are today. So I know for you, as I know for myself, that as we go forward, we do so experiencing this peace, prosperity, fulfillment, and happiness that we so richly deserve. And there's a willingness within us to release the toxicity and embrace who we are and what we are, the way we are right now, as good. And then we move forward, creating more of that which is our potential to be and to have and to give. So I declare it for myself and for you, accept it, and I know it to be so, and so it is. And thank you. Whee!
Well, hello again. And we come to the giving portion of our program, so let's read our prosperity affirmation together. Spirit is constantly giving itself away and is never diminished. Likewise, I give freely of my time and my talent and my treasure. In doing so, I am constantly renewed. My cup of life is always full, and my giving only increases the supply. Life is good, and so am I, and so it is. And wow, marvelous to see lots of people in the seats today. We haven't done this for a long time, but I'm going to ask practitioner intern Lou, will you come and take the basket around? So if anyone wants to put their envelopes in the basket, you can be doing that. And while Lou is making her rounds, let's read our closing affirmation. The song of life sings itself through me. The dance of life dances through me. I am filled with vitality and joy, health, wealth, and wisdom. My song is a song of gratitude, and the blessings keep flowing, and so it is. And these affirmations, we've said this before, but if you haven't been doing it, take that affirmation sheet home with you, put it on your fridge, use these on a daily basis. Remind yourself of Doug's marvelous message. Remember your God positioning program and read these to keep yourself on track for the day. Thank you, Lou. And now, please just join me for a closing spiritual mind treatment. Right here and right now, I know good and only good, because there is God and only God. I immerse myself in that. I open myself to it. I choose to live from it, from the God principle, from the God positioning program. It is mine to use, mine to enjoy, and life is mine to enjoy. I determined to do that, to enjoy life, this day, this moment, this hour, and every following hour. With loving thanks, I release these words, and I go on to simply be, to live, to have, to love, to laugh, and so it is.